Hey everyone, how's it going? Grizzly here with another Team Fortress 2 gameplay commentary, today playing as the soldier on the map King of the Hill, Cydonia, and by looking at this map you can tell right away that something is a little bit off. And maybe you're wondering why that is. Am I playing a mod? Is it a texture pack or something like that? And to answer those questions, no, it's not. The reason this map looks the way it does is because it's still being developed. Now before we really delve into this topic, let me get a couple of things out of the way. First off, this gameplay was recorded on a European server, therefore there was a little bit of lag while I was playing. So it's not the greatest gameplay for me, but it does an excellent job of showcasing the map, which is what this commentary is going to be all about. Secondly, I am no means an expert when it comes to mapping, so if you are and you catch a mistake I've made, please let me know, I'd really appreciate it. But that's all I have to say about that, so let's get started. Like I was saying, the name of this map is Cydonia, and it is being created by a user that goes by the name of Silverus on TF2maps.net. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So this is what a map looks like when it's still in the developmental stages. It's pretty basic, and for pretty good reason. You see, when someone first comes up with an idea for a map, they usually sketch it out on paper, they start laying out the general idea in Hammer, the program used to create maps for Team Fortress 2. You know how the old saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. And the same goes for mapping. Although it's possible to create a working map in 24 hours, usually there will be a few things that don't quite work out the way the creator intended them to. Maybe the blue team can get into the red team's spawn, or maybe a soldier can rocket jump to a spot they never thought would be possible. That's why when someone gets a workable version of their map, they get it tested. When a map has hit the testing stage, it's considered to be an alpha, and that basically means that everything in the map works. It may not be pretty, but you can still play the game. And just so everybody knows, this is actually a very nice looking map. For still being alpha, they usually don't look quite this nice. So that's what's happening in this gameplay you're watching right now. Some people have gotten together and decided to test this map that is currently an alpha. Now, maybe you're thinking to yourself, that sounds kind of fun. Is there any way I can get involved in that? And the answer to that is absolutely. The website TF2maps.net hosts map tests weekly on Saturdays. The US tests are usually at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the European tests are usually around 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I apologize to those of you who aren't on US time, but I'm sure you can figure it out with a little bit of Googling. So, more specifics are listed on the forums of TF2maps.net, so I encourage you to head over there and check everything out if playtesting maps and development is something you're interested in. I will leave the IP addresses to both servers in the description below, so feel free to add those to your favorites. But scheduled testings are not the only testings that go on over there. Occasionally someone will host an impromptu map test, which means it is not scheduled at all. These can occur fairly often, and the only way of knowing when these are going on is if you join the TF2 Maps Steam group, which I will leave a link to in the description. Depending on who's hosting, it could take place on either server, European or US. But back to the mapping process. While playtesting, players will often leave feedback on what they think can be improved. Often areas are too large or too narrow to fight in, and this can lead to class imbalance. Pyros thrive in tight corridors, and snipers dominate in open areas. These are things you have to keep in mind when you're creating a map, but at the same time, you need to make sure every class is viable, which can prove pretty difficult. That's why the maps in alpha may appear so bland and boring to you guys. It's much easier to make a layout change when you aren't dealing with a lot of materials. You don't have to resize all your trim or move that big rock here over there, any of that stuff. You just deal with the main buildings and the main routes. But once the layout has been more or less finalized, mappers will often move their map out of alpha and into beta. This means the map has been balanced pretty well and no significant layout changes will really occur. There may be slight tweaking, but for the most part, the layout's going to say how it is. This is where the map really begins to take shape. Do you use brick or wood, snow or dirt? There are a ton of different textures and options you can use to make your map look great and have its own personality. Now, personally, I have never made it to beta with one of my maps yet. I think 2014 might finally be the year I get there, and when I do, I'll be sure to let all of you guys know. And if I can do it, I'm pretty sure anyone can. So, if you're interested in mapping, I encourage you to try it out. There are a ton of great resources out there, TF2maps.net being one of the best, and it's a great place to start. Everyone there will gladly point you in the right direction if you have any questions that need answering. Now, if you happen to be interested in mapping, or you already know how, I'd like to inform you of a mapping contest being held at TF2maps.net in a couple of weeks. Starting on January 17th at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the 72-hour Winter Mapping Classic will officially begin. This is a mapping contest where you are given 3 days to create a map. It can be any game type. So if you're new to mapping, this could be a fun way to get started and get into it. If you're interested, once again, there will be a link in the description. I'll be participating this year, and I'm not that great, so I hope some of you will give it a go as well. But as you can see, we are pretty much out of time here, so I'm going to quickly wrap it up. All the links I've mentioned in the video are down below, so if you have the time, be sure to check those out. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one, guys.